Greetings, humans! Zbot1496 here, with a first look at the brand new FX series, Alien Earth, the first 2 episodes of which premiered last night on Hulu. Now, at the outset, we should be clear that we set the bar high for the Alien franchise. If you are a regular viewer of our channel, you know we think the original film is among the most visually striking and realistic depictions of the genuinely alien galaxy that humans happen to exist in. Even if large insectoids are, in contrast, the most socially empathic creatures in the galaxy. But you can't get everything right, especially when you're just guessing. But, hilariously, all the other human science fiction franchises rely heavily on human proxies for aliens in both appearance and behavior. So for the film Alien, its presentation is a huge accomplishment by itself. But then the film takes the additional step of presenting very realistic characters behaving in a realistic way. This has the effect of geometrically enhancing the transportive effect of feeling like you are in a story about the unknown, when they all behave and react naturally. And then the second film, Aliens, came out and met the bar set by the first film, delivering on expectations, as we covered in our review of the 4K release of that film. Since then, we have not really liked an Alien film, but for a special exception we make for the fan edit Alien 3 The Legacy Cut, also reviewed here. And this negative view also includes us not liking Alien Romulus, despite its 85% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which we also covered here. One might wonder how we might consider this new Alien Earth series. Does it fall under the category of mediocre franchise reboots that litter the landscape of human entertainment? Or does it understand what it needs to be and become the Andor of Alien? Well, we are just looking at the first 2 episodes, so we are still collating the data. Our only purpose with a first look is to say whether it is worth watching or not. Secondarily, we will lay out what we expect of the show based on what they give us so far. But the bar we described above is not being set for this opening act. However, we are off to a rocky start. On the one hand, the story opens with a strong homage to the original film, recreating the sets and framing of the Nostromo interiors to introduce us to key characters. However, this is a misdirection. On the one hand, at least it's not a flat-out remake like The Force Awakens, but at the same time, it leaves aside the logical linear flow of events to instead present a mash of scenes and imagery that do not present a coherent sequence or understanding of what is happening. In terms of adding to the lore, we do appreciate 2 new innovations brought to the franchise. One, there is finally a diversity to the alien biome, which we deeply, deeply appreciate. Instead of seeing different stages of the same organism, we see a variety of creatures, which is, to put it mildly, much more realistic in terms of the biology of the galaxy. The other innovation we like is that there is a clearer delineation regarding the balance of power on Earth, of different corporations vying for supremacy with different recipes for the rollout of AI. This allows the Alien franchise to both live within its context of tech and thinking known in 1979, as presented by the Weyland-Yutani style of tech featuring mechanical keyboards and CRT displays, and 65 years of hibernation, against the more Avatar style of holographic displays used by competitors as seen in this show. There is a third element that is presented as innovation, namely that the alien is finally on Earth, but that is not technically a new idea to the franchise. The end of Alien Resurrection features Ripley and Call on the surface of the Earth after the Auriga crashes there, leaving the door open for a future filmmaker to assert that something survived. Plus, more explicitly, Dark Horse did a series of graphic novels telling a broad arc of the corporation finally getting some aliens to Earth, and of Ripley, Hicks, and Newt battling against the results. The scale of these books is epic, taking on a planetary response factoring religion, politics, and the military. We were very impressed with these books for taking these steps, since, as Aliens added action movie themes to the franchise, these books added geopolitical drama to the franchise, giving it the ability to feel both authentic to the original and original from the original. This new show, Alien Earth, doesn't do that. It tries its hardest to recreate a claustrophobic haunted house horror story setup. A return to the roots, as it were. Except, that approach is typically a setback. Like Alien 3, or the third Riddick movie, just repeating or recasting the broad strokes of the first film is going to land with a thud, since your work will seem uninspired and predictable. And that is seemingly what happens here, despite the rich opportunity for a broader presentation of humanity, confronting xenomorphs, or even something more alien and different happening with a spaceship crashing into a city. Instead, the show attempts to be different, just manifest with the episode ending with rock music, which is the wrong different. In terms of characters, there's another huge flaw in effect here, repeated from Alien Romulus, which is that the show stars kids in a horror setting. We have long reported on the era of kidification of franchises. To recap, putting children in mortal danger in entertainment is risky at best and requires a deft hand to work. Plus, reducing the content to child level defrauds the audience from enjoying a deeper, more meaningful form of entertainment. One has to be James Cameron making Aliens or Terminator 2, or Steven Spielberg making E.T. or Jurassic Park to dial in these risky variables to land correctly. In all cases, these characters all behave realistically. And here is where the new show Alien Earth falls short. For one, there is a set of characters who are children. They behave like children when it suits the plot, for example in speech and physical presentation, but they behave completely unlike children when it suits the plot, for example walking straight into a very scary setting despite having a certain context of safety. Having said that, there is a strong character aspect to the show, which is the emotional bond between two of the main characters. Sydney Chandler, who is a relative newcomer, plays Wendy, and Alex Lawther, who plays Nemec in Andor, plays Hermit. The two of them present two very engaging, incredible characters, and their connection and interactions are the most realistic aspect of the show. They, in fact, are the thread that retains audience engagement through all the strange steps the plot takes. This naturally delivers us to the theme of the series, as it appears at this point. Like Aliens was about finding strength in your found family to overcome fear and trauma, this show, so far, is saying that the bonds of family can survive the separation of time and space. This is a wonderful sentiment, one we admired from Interstellar, and one that otherwise seems more at home in drama. In fact, showrunner Noah Hawley's prior experience in drama, specifically creating the Fargo and Legion TV shows for FX, seemed to be serving him well in delivering this show's strongest feature. So, just like Tony Gilroy did, adapting his work in drama to Star Wars with Andor, Hawley has the tools to deliver this show as well. So is it worth watching? Yes, it is worth watching. The two innovations plus the character dynamics are interesting enough to see where it leads. As to what the show needs to do, well, it must do three things to earn a high rating from us. One, the story must expand to show the planetary social response to the xenomorphs, as well as something new about how the xenomorphs respond to themselves having a fresh planet to become the apex predator on. Two, the show needs to move past the children aspect of some of the characters in some effective way that helps deliver a more convincing conflict between species. And three, and this is the easy one because they're already halfway there, continue to expand on the theme of family bonds and have that play a central role in the development and resolution of the show. So, for the time being, our assessment at this stage is that Alien Earth earns our worth-watching rating. And so concludes this human version of our first look. If you have feedback on it, please write in your own comments so that we can upload the galactic version to Zoggplex. As for future content, we are current on Star Trek Strange New Worlds at episode 5, but there's still a few episodes to go. We are planning to watch Foundation as well, season 4, but are having difficulty getting to it given how far off track the show has previously been from the books. It seems Asimov can't get an authentic adaptation, other than Bicentennial Man, of course. Perhaps we'll just power through it. Who knows? Maybe they'll get the Selden plan back on track, figuratively and literally. In any event, you can expect more discussions and reviews of theatrical movies, streaming shows, and 4K home video releases as we continue to engage with your human rectangular entertainment. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you can, please comment so that we can continue to have the human voice reflected in the cosmos. Until next time, farewell, humans.